Give me a second here. All right, before we get started on the draft, I wanted to take this time just to thank some of the staff here. I mean, since the moment I got here, there's been tremendous support to help me in my transition and specifically with this draft. So bear with me here. I want to recognize these people and really say them by name. In the player personnel department, starting with Ray Agnew, Evan, Jordan Burton, John Carr, Andy Davis, Andrew Dolick, Dom Esposito, Dom Green, Jay Mando, Drew Morris, Kevin Murphy, Chris Nolan, Robbie Payton, Rick Spielman, Jonathan Stiegel, Whitty, Dan Z, Ashley, Matt Houston. That whole entire personnel department has been awesome for me since I got here and through the draft. You get into the football admin cap. Nick Sabella has been tremendous. The analytics department's led by Brian Shields. Bobby Mastrodi with security. IT department's been great. Tom Murphy, Chris Miller. Player development, Justice Jones, who's a new addition, has been great since he's been here. Bryce Bevel, the video department, the entire department led by Ryan O'Hare, and obviously Eric and Jared and his staff, and the football ops, AG, Rich, Alyssa, and Phoebe. Like I said, it's made it really easy for me through this whole transition, free agency, and specifically the draft. With the draft today, obviously came into the day with 5 picks, ended up having 4. Traded up twice to get some players that we targeted and feel will help us. But really excited about the way it unfolded and the players we got today. So with that, I'll open it to questions.
What leads to the trading up? And do you get intel that these guys might be gone? Is it that there's just not that many players left?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. You know, we look at the board, we see how we think it's going to fall by position, some guys we may have targeted. You start looking at teams that are going to have the same needs, and we definitely view those players maybe higher than where we think if this board falls, we might get this lesser player where we can give up minimal or a pick swap and go get this player that really fits us. So those are it's always a little different each case, but that's how it unfolds.
Can you give your scouting thoughts on each of the 4 guys?
Yeah, starting with Smith, the wideout, we added obviously an explosive speed element, brings an element of speed to our offense, an offensive weapon there. Who do we had next? Let me go through this. Malachi Moore is a guy we targeted. Obviously a very instinctive, tough player. He was a team captain. He's made of the right stuff at safety. He was a guy we really coveted and kind of targeted early in the day. Glad we added him. And then Kiko Mougey from Miami, another tough, physical, instinctive linebacker. I believe he was another team captain at Miami. And then here at the end, Tyler Barron, his teammate at Miami, a productive player at the end spot who has pass rush.
Darren, 3 of those guys are defensive guys.
Yep.
So what do you think they can eventually bring to your team?
Listen, Malachi was a guy that I talked to Brian Branch before the draft, and he gave me some really good insight on that player. Actually, he was the starter right before Branch actually ended up getting the job. He had an injury, so and him being the captain, that tells what he is. All right, so he's going to come in and have a chance to compete for a safety spot. When you come to Kiko, Kiko's a smart, heady, aggressive, physical linebacker that's going to get a chance to go in and compete for a linebacker spot. Plus, he has special teams value, along with Malachi, the same thing. And I see the same, all right, with our rusher, right? He's done a really good job as far as pass rush, but again, he's going to be able to play special teams for us. So, listen, you need good quality depth on your team. So if anything happens, listen, I went through the injury bug last year. If anything happened to any of our starters, man, these guys can come in and be able to play for us.
Malachi played the 2 positions. He was like their star guy for a few years, and
Yep.
then switched to safety. Was that a smart move for him to go to safety? Do you see him as that's his home now, or do you see him as sort of a Swiss Army knife?
Listen, what he did in college actually shows exactly what he can be able to do in the NFL. And being able to have the versatility to play safety and also play nickel has always been great. Obviously, you see Brian Branch, he did the same thing. When I had Chauncey, he did the same thing. So to be able to have a player that has that versatility is always good for defense. So now you can start to have defensive structures, right, where you can have people in different spots.
With the conversation with Brian Branch,
Yep.
are you looking for information about the guy? or the player? Like where?
Oh, a little bit of both. When you ask that, because he's been around more than we have.
Right.
So he understands who he is as a person and then as a player. The first thing that came out of his mouth was dog. And listen, when you hear that, I mean, shoot, that gets you excited about the player. And then being a chance to watch him on tape and see exactly how he operates, man, listen, he fits us to a T. You know, so I'm excited to have that player again. He has some versatility, and I see him being utilized just like that.
Now, what did you like about Aaron? I know you said his speed.
The elite speed. He has an explosive element. When you have a piece like that on offense, it allows you to do more. You know, whether you're taking the top off, whether you're taking shots, whether you're getting them on speed sweeps, quick smokes, elite speed.
His one bugaboo kind of was the drops.
He does.
So what makes you confident that can be something that's fixed?
There's things we can improve, help him to improve those drops, but that is an element of his game. But the elite speed is a hard trait, you know, to pass on. And you see at the end of yesterday, you kind of see these things go on runs, right? At the end of yesterday, I think Minnesota took the kid from Maryland, felt in a speed piece, and then we opened the day with like 3 speed players going in a row. You get a run on these speed guys because everyone's looking for speed in this league to add that element.
And I would say, just to elaborate on that, the one thing that this player is, he's very self-aware, and I think it starts there. And he knows he has to get better at that. And I've lived through this with Jameson Williams. Like the first thing, when he came into the league, everybody talked about his drops. And he worked on it like tirelessly every day in practice. And I see this player doing the same thing. So if you're self-aware and you understand that you have an issue and you know you can get better, all right, that's the start. So I know this player is going to get better at that.
And he had a good week at the Senior Bowl as well. So he's impressed. Good Senior Bowl, good pro day. We saw a lot of good things on film. So really excited about Aaron.
Darren, how much consideration did you give at any point to a quarterback, and the fact that you didn't draft one? Is that sort of an endorsement as Jordan Travis is your quote-unquote developmental guy?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of the quarterbacks, obviously going into this draft and then throughout the process, and there was some still on the board now, I believe, and we'll see after the draft if we address that with these undrafted free agents. But we're always talking about guys remaining and how they would fit and their value. No different than any other position at the quarterback.
So often late in the draft, teams go for traits, guys that have exotic size speed ratios.
Mm-hmm.
Was that kind of the thinking the Tyler Barron pick? You know, 6'5", 260, runs 4.62. Maybe wasn't as productive as some would have hoped for at Miami, but the potential's there with the traits.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, and you're absolutely right. When you get to this part of the draft, traits is really what you're looking for: size, speed, length, things like that. So we feel like if we can get a player with traits, then we can have our coaches go out there and coach him to help him be able to improve and be a good player in this league. So absolutely he's that. But if you watch him on tape, he actually showed like really good pass rush ability. So now it's just nudging him a little bit more to get him over that hump to be a really good player for us, and we expect that player to do that for us.
How much of the appeal of Arian to was his experience in the gunner?
Say that one more time.
How much of the appeal with Arian was his experience on special teams as a gunner?
Listen, that's anytime you have an offense play, especially at that position, be able to help you out on special teams, that's a huge plus for your team. Just talking about building roster now for game day. So with him having the ability to be able to do that, man, that is critical for us. The thing is, we know that the trait that he has is going to be tough in a number of different situations. Offensively, taking the top off, opening it up for Garrett and all those guys. But then being a chance to go out there and be a gunner, be able to like calls fair catches and be able to make plays in that situation. So, listen, we're looking forward to that. And again, he understands that can be a part of his game for him to be able to help this team, right? When you got guys that are willing to do that, man, that's special.
One position you guys didn't address was interior defensive line. That maybe coming in, people might have said, see the Jets taking somebody there. Could you, one of you just how do you guys feel about that position beyond, we know Quinnen, right?
Yep.
But beyond Quinnen, how do you feel about that position right now?
Yeah, we feel good about the group. I mean, the guys that are in that room, a lot of those guys have played. You know, Jay, Noddy, Coward, those guys have played in the NFL. They know how to play the game. We went in the draft knowing that the group was deep, and it was a good group. However, when you get to the end of the process, whether there's certain character issues or medical issues that may eliminate some guys, the group gets much thinner, you know. So we went in the group anticipating it was a big group, it was a little thinner. There were still some guys we identified, but we feel good about the group we have right now in there. And like I mentioned, those guys can play, and the process doesn't end. We'll break this meeting, we'll go upstairs, the draft will end, and this is like our 6th and 7th round. And our guys will be hard at work, adding guys that we still think can help. And even after this weekend, we'll have the UFL to evaluate. We'll have all off season. We're constantly looking to add pieces to the team that we think can help at all positions. So by no means is the roster ever complete.
Couple more. Aaron, what do you think was the biggest thing, or the most important thing you guys accomplished over these 3 days?
I think the number one thing is we really got guys that fit the brand of who we're going to be. And that was something that we talked about, even starting in free agency to the draft. And we're very intentional about guys who want to be a part of this organization. And I would say the same things when it comes to coaches also. Like, everyone fits, and we want to continue that trend. Because once you do that, man, the core of each person is the same. We might look different, we might act different, but the core of everyone here is the same, and that's what we want to try to do.
What is that brand that you're trying to establish?
Tough, physical, violent, aggressive, a resilient attitude. If we continue to get guys like that, I mean, you'll start to see the brand show up on the grass.
Where is Jordan Travis in his recovery? Is he going to be able to participate?
Yeah, I won't speak on any of the players' medical publicly right now.
What are your plans, Darren? A lot of times when a new GM comes in, they keep the scouts until after the draft, and then they make changes because most of the scouting work had been done.
Mm-hmm.
You had just named a lot of the people and thanked them.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, can you talk about your plans as far as being a new GM with the
In general, I'm going to go upstairs, finish this process, and then take a few days to get away from it because I'm quite honestly exhausted from just the past few months. But it's exciting, and I do look forward to next week gathering the whole group and having a lot of good discussions, both collectively as a group and individually, about how we want to maybe change some processes moving forward. But I've been really pleased with the entire group and a lot of those names I mentioned.
Thank you.